Okay guys, let's get started. So for this video, I'm going to be using a pencil, a black fine line pen. I actually have two of them. They are from Faber-Castell, and I'm going to be using the fine and the small. So I'm going to be using those to draw, but I'm going to start everything off in pencil. So we're going to start off with some easy ones. I'm going to walk you through a few of them before we just cut it into the music and speed it up a little bit, just because these are going to take a little while, but I want you to get the feel for what we're doing. So we're going to start off by drawing a pumpkin, and everything we're going to start with today is just going to be really basic shapes. So I'm just going to do this up here in the corner, and I'm going to make an oval shape. Ooh. Like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, we're just drawing it in pencil. And then we're going to cut off like the top piece of it, just kind of like that. So now you can continue in pencil. I'm gonna start in pen so that this doesn't take a really long time. So now we have our basic shape. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start drawing ovals within this. So my first oval is gonna touch this line right here. So this front shape here, what this is the front of the pumpkin, okay? And so it's kind of rounding around this, and up here is the back of our pumpkin and where our stem is going to be. It'll make sense once we start going. So from here, I'm going to take my next one and I'm going to start here, and I'm going to round up to touch that line, then back down, around, and to touch the bottom. Same with this one. And then one more on each side. So following that oval shape, round, and touches here. So all of those touch that line there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our stem. So we're going to draw a stem on top. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make the back of the pumpkin. So these are the pieces that round back to the center, but you can kind of see the top of. So we're just going to make one here and here. So we're just dragging these lines around kind of in the same U-shaped motion. And now if we erase our pencil lines, we're left with a pumpkin that looks like this. And I used my fine point pen for all of that. Oops. And now I will pick up my small pen and I can add some little vine things coming off. And leaves if you want to. So that's how you draw a pumpkin, starting with a super basic shape. So now let's do a ghost. So I'm going to start out by drawing a oval for his body. And then he's gonna have some rectangular arms. Don't worry, we're gonna give this guy some shape, I promise. So if you're using your pencil, what you're going to do is you're going to refine these shapes to make them organic and actually what they're supposed to look like. So this is going to be a rounded out corner here, and then we're going to droop his arms. Ooh. And same on this one, so round it out here, and then this is going to round here too. We don't want this really blunt corner. So blunt, and then his head will come around like that. And where his little arms meet here, now we're gonna taper this in like that. And where his arm meets here, so around this oval, we're just gonna kind of follow it till we get like that. So now when we outline him and these refined shapes we've made, we'll have a ghost, but he started from something very simple. Okay, so we have our ghost, and now we'll just add a face. So I'm going to do two eyes that are taller ovals, and then a round mouth. But have fun. Play around with the different face shapes you can make. And again, we can pick up our eraser here and erase, and we are left with this darling ghost. So now let's do another one that is fairly simple. So we're going to do a candy corn and a piece of round hard candy stacked together. So the first thing we're going to start off with is just our candy corn shape, which is this kind of just a triangle really. So we have that, and then we're gonna put our piece of hard candy behind, so it's a circle like this. And now what we have to remember is that this piece, this candy corn shape, is in front of this circle. So when we draw our inked in lines, this line's gonna go over and you won't see this circular piece. So now a candy corn is not sharp. It has these rounded edges, so we're just gonna round all of this out. So you're just rounding your corners. Again, just do this in pencil. And then for our hard candy, we just wanna make it spiral. So just spiral it in on itself. And then we're gonna add a wrapper. So just a wavy line that comes back like a triangle, like that. So now we will pick up our pen. So again, I'm using the fine point pen. And we're gonna go around and up and back down like that. And then for our candy, we're just gonna trace over this right-hand side, sorry. So I'm gonna trace over all the right-hand side of it, just not where it's covered with that piece of candy corn. So where all these spirals are, that's where I'm gonna trace. And then I'm also gonna trace the wrapper. And now we can erase our pencil lines because we have everything inked in that we need to for now. So now we need to add some horizontal lines to our candy corn, and we need to add some lines inside our wrapper piece to make it look like it's twisted and they're pushed together, I guess. So we're gonna add those lines. So it has 3, and I'm kind of giving them a little bit of an arch, like that. And now I'm gonna pick up my small point pen, but if you're just using one, that's fine too. And I'm just gonna kind of draw these lines that come out at varying lengths. And you can do the same thing coming down too, like that. So there we have some candy. Okay, the last one I want to do before we get into the sped up video is going to be a little bit trickier, and we're going to do a haunted house. So for this, we're going to start with some basic shapes, and we're going to really take and refine them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with a horizontal rectangle like this. Remember, using your pencil, because we're gonna refine all of these shapes, which means you don't wanna start in pen first, or you're gonna have a bunch of lines that you didn't need. And then moving over just a little bit from the top, we're gonna make a vertical rectangle that comes right about to the center. And then we're gonna make one that's just a little shorter right here, and it's gonna come equally, not quite to the edge, so right to about here. So these are our basic shapes. So now what we want to do is we want to refine these to turn them into pieces of a home. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off about 1/3 of this one, and then I'm going to slope these up like this. Okay, so this is a roof on this piece of the house. So we're going to draw these walls and the roof. And then for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these corners off to create another roof. So you want to make sure that this line is pretty level, and then cut off your corners. So again, there's the top part. Now we're going to add an awning to our roof. So from here, you're going to come out at an angle and do the exact same thing on the other side. And then draw a horizontal line straight across. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to pick up my pen because we have a lot of the basic shapes already sketched in. And what we're going to do is we're just going to ink in the top half of this. So from this roof that we made up. So we're just going to start here. Go along this, I guess it's not an awning, like a porch roof. And then go up these walls. And then draw the roofs on top of these. Okay, so now we're left with a pretty good idea of what this is going to look like, but we want to keep going with our pencil just because we've got some other stuff to do. So right where this line comes, we're going to create a column. So I'm going to do a half circle here and a rectangle directly below it. And then we're going to use 2 lines to create that column. Now we're going to move over and go about where this line is, maybe a little over, and create another one. So we're just drawing that same column. And then one more right here. So we have a total of 3. Ooh. Just like that. And then we're going to be adding a railing right here. So 2 double lines, and then 2 double lines for each little piece of fencing, I guess. Okay. So now we can go in and ink with that. For this, I'm going to pick up my small point pen. These are a little bit finer details that I would like done with a smaller pen so it picks up those details. Once we get this done, it's just a matter of adding our final details to our house to give it that spooky vibe. And then we'll be done. Okay, so finish it off with a line connecting on the bottom where that rectangle ended. And now we can take our eraser and we can erase all of our pencil lines because we have the basic outline of our house done. So from here, we're going to start adding some details. Again, remember, you can always continue in pencil if you prefer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some little posts to the top of this roof. These are always seen in like scary movies. So these are just upward facing arrows and then a line connecting them. And on this one, I'm going to change them just a little. So I'm only going to put 3 and I'm going to make them just dipped down like that. And maybe add some small circles on top. And then each roof is going to be a little different. So this one, I'm just going to add this outline just to the roof area. This one, I'm going to add shingles. So these are just U shapes stacked all the way across. If you wanted to recreate this a lot bigger, I think this would be an awesome thing to do for like a cover page. Or you could make this into a full sheet of paper and draw it that big. And you could turn it into a coloring page to give to children and even give it to them on Halloween. Print out a bunch of copies and give it to them on Halloween. And if you don't know how to turn your drawings and your doodles into printable artwork or printable coloring pages, things that you can sell or give away, I do teach that in my Delighted in Doodling course. It's one of the final projects for the course is to create a coloring page that you can print and share with somebody. And so if you'd like to look into that, I will leave the link down in the description. So I'm just going to finish these up. They kind of look like little shells or scales, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So there we have all of our roof features. So now we want to add some windows and we want to add a door. So for the windows, I want to make it look like the shutters are kind of falling off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle that is at an angle here. And then I'm going to draw a straight one over here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw from this one that I created. I'm creating an actual window. So the line comes about here. And then we can add our lines. And then you can color this window in. And a fun thing to do is to leave 2 circles to make it look like glowing eyes in the window. And then over here, you could put a circular window right up here in this top section. And then down here, we're going to add another window right here. So we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to draw that kind of off-kilter rectangle like that shutter is falling off. And then over here, we can draw one that is actually still upright. And then so connected to that would be our window, and it would come over, and it's gonna kind of dip back behind this one. So now we'll add the lines on our shutters. And again, color your window in black just to give it that kind of spooky vibe. And then we'll draw our door. So we're just gonna do a rectangle and a doorknob. And maybe you wanna double outline it to give it a bit of a frame around the door. So there is a spooky haunted house doodle. That one obviously took the longest of any of them because it is the most detailed, but it's just started from 3 basic rectangles. So now we are going to actually get into the speed draw where I'm gonna draw more of these and I'm gonna start them from basic shapes, and I hope that you'll be able to follow along on your own.